Okay, in the previous lectures we started to create the skeleton of basically what the operation press does. Now the operation pressed action is calling multiple sub-actions, okay, or let's call it them procedures, okay. So it's calling this update display screen, calculate now, and reset value after operation pressed. So in this lecture we're gonna start writing them, okay. So first of all, this reset value after operation pressed, just copy this, okay, Command C, and paste it on the new line. So there's going to be a new instruction for this one, okay. So for case 2, same thing for case 3, same thing for case 4. Don't do anything for case 5, and you don't need to do it for case 6 neither for now, okay. All right. So what we're going to do now next is create this reset value after operation press. So instead of to do, remove the to do, that's just a comment, remove that, and let's start typing what this is supposed to be doing, okay? So you probably already guessed it. What it needs to do is clear up some values. So it needs to clear up the previous and the current stored numbers, okay? So the previous stored number will receive the value of the current number, okay? So whenever we press any of those minus, multiply, or divide, or subtract, we need to take the number from the current number pressed to the previous stored number, okay? So current stored number, this one, okay. So the current one goes in the previous, okay. Now we need to clear up some values. We need to say that the current stored number, since it's a new one, we don't know what it is, so we're gonna put it to 0, okay. And the number of digits after the dot, we're gonna reset it to 0. Okay, so every time you click plus or minus, you don't want to be writing this in decimals, you want to be writing in regular units. So you reset the number of the decimal digits to 0. Okay, so that's going to be all we need for the reset values after operation pressed. Now, let's handle the calculate now. So what does the calculate now has to do? So let's think about it. In the calculate now, depending on which action we're trying to calculate, so whether it's an add, a minus, or multiply, we need to do different types of operation, right? If somebody clicks on the plus, we need to add them together. If they click on the minus, we need to subtract the current number and the previous number together, okay? If we do a division, same thing, we take the current number and we divide it by the previous number, and so on. So let's do these calculations in the calculate now. All right, so remove that to do right here, and let's start working on the logic. So obviously, we need to basically switch the current operation, which basically means we need to do different actions on what the current operation is. Okay, so switch, right switch, and here we're gonna type current operation. Okay, and close the opening bracket, the opening parenthesis. Okay, and open and close brackets, curly braces. I'm sorry. All right. So, and here, start typing whenever the case is known. So whenever the current operation is known, what do we do? Okay, so if the current operation is known, well, we're going to say that the total just gets the value of the current stored number, okay? So basically, the currently stored number goes and becomes the total, and the total is going to be the one that's going to be displayed right here in the simulator, okay? So here we're gonna, obviously we're gonna display the total number, the total or the sum of all the numbers that got pressed, okay? So let's go back and say total is equal to current stored number, okay? Press enter, and now we're gonna go to the next case. All right. So now we're gonna do case when it's add, okay? So when we're basically trying to add together. What do we do here? When it's add, what we're going to do is obviously add the numbers, right? So the total is going to be equal to the previous number, okay? So the previous number that we stored plus the current stored number, okay? So that's basically adding the first number that got pressed to the second number that got pressed, okay? Now, obviously, you can figure out what's going to happen when we do the multiplication, right? So I'm just going to copy this line, okay, and do Command C and paste it below. All right, and here this time we, instead of doing the add again, this time we're going to do the multiplication. So I'm just going to replace the text here and write multiply. Okay, so when the case is multiply, what we're going to do is do a multiplication. So I just have to replace this plus sign and put a multiply sign, and that's it, done. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the subtraction. Okay, so Command C, I copy this and paste it below. All right, and obviously I'm going to start typing here. What am I going to type? I'm going to type minus. Okay, all right, and obviously there's going to be the current number here this time. Okay, it's going to be actually no, that's the previous number that we're going to that's going to get subtracted. So that's it. Okay, previous store number minus current store number. That's it. Now let's work on the last operation that we know that's going to be the division. Okay, so case, instead of multiply, we're going to write divide. Okay, divide, and this time it's going to be the previous number divided, so it's the slash divided by the current store number. Now we're pretty much done. What we have to do though is doing the case when we press the dot, right? Now this one is a little bit more involved when somebody press the dots, because when you press the dot, what you want to do is keep writing. You want to be able to keep writing on the current number. Okay, the current store number, you need to keep writing, and you need to add decimal values to it. Okay, so case dot, and that's pretty much okay if you don't really understand exactly what's going on for the dot, because it's a little bit more involved. So some of you are going to understand straight, especially if you've done some math, and some of you that are not, but don't worry about it. What matters is that we keep going. All right. So just keep looking at it and look at it slowly. You will understand. So we're gonna say if. We basically are gonna check if the previous operation pressed. If the previous operation pressed is add. Okay. So basically, if the previous operation is equal to add, then what are we gonna do here? So if it's equal to add, we're gonna do something specific to this. We're gonna do the total is equal to previous stored number plus current stored number. Okay, so basically this time we do this the same thing as the one we have above, but it's only when it's add here for the previous, not for the current operation, for the previous. So we do this. Now we're gonna do some same thing for the other ones, for the multiply, the add, and so on. So now I'm gonna put else. So if it's not add, it's gonna be something else. Else if, and we're going to try if the previous one is equal to something else, right? So else if the previous operation press is equal to minus. Okay, so if it's equal to minus, what are we going to do? If it's equal to minus, we're going to subtract them. Okay, so the total would be obviously the previous operation pressed minus the current, the previous, not operation, previous stored number minus the current stored number. Okay, let's keep going. Else if, now we've done the add and the minus, so obviously we need to do the multiplication and the division. Else if the previous operation press is multiply. Okay, so if it's multiply, what do we do? Obviously, when it's multiply, we're gonna multiply this. Okay, so total is equal to previous stored number multiplied by current stored number. All right, so far so good. And now the last case, else if, and obviously we're going to do if it's a division, right? So previous operation pressed is equal to divide. What do we do? Okay, so if it's divide, now obviously we're gonna do the total is equal to previous stored number divided, oops, oh, let me fix this, previous stored, so total is equal to previous stored number, okay, divided by the current stored number. Okay, and then if it's none of these, then we're going to say that the total is equal to total plus 0. Okay, so basically nothing is going on, we're just adding 0 to the total. Okay, now here in these cases we have case for known, add, multiply, minus, divide, and dot, and we're missing one case, the case when the result is when we don't have any of those results, whether it's none of the above, it's the default case. So just write default right here. Okay, and what we're going to do here is that the total is going to equal to total plus 0 again. So basically, if we are not expecting a new type of operation, we just don't do much. We just add 0 to the total. Okay, so nothing really happens. All right, and we are pretty much done. However, the only thing we want to do here is that at the end of this, we want to update the display. Okay, so we want to be able to update the display screen. Okay, and actually we're good to go. So you can just click this, you can just copy this update display screen and put it right below this one right here, update display screen. Okay, so make sure you do it right after the curly brace of the case. You see that case? Let me make more room. Okay, so if you guys see that case, that switch statement right here, so make sure you do the update display screen right below that. Okay, all right, and that's it for now. Now that's a pretty complex one, so make sure you take a look at it. Again, I repeat what we did here. We in a calculate, we do different calculations depending on whatever the current operation is. If the current operation is an add, well, the total is going to be an addition. If it's a multiplication, then the total is going to be a multiplication. If it's a minus, the total is going to be a minus. Division is going to be a division. And if it's a dot, it's going to be depending on the previous operation, not the current, because the current operation will be the dot. So that's not a real operation. We need to check the previous operation. And then we do the exact same thing as the other case. All right, so keep looking at the video. I know that's a lot, so just digest it, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture.